Hello friends, welcome. Friends, recently BSNL's launched its new 5G services FWA. They have given the name as Quantum FWA, right? Quantum 5G FWA, and it has been carried widely in the press. So there was also a press release which was released by BSNL on 20th June about their soft launch, right? About the Quantum 5G FWA smart soft launch. So if you look at this press release, which you can find, by going to this website, which is right here, it talks about the various features of 5G Quantum FWA and why it is first for India, why it is a first for India. So it says it is a SIM-less architecture built on BSNL's direct-to-device platform so that customer CP auto-authenticates, no physical SIM is required. BSNL is the first Indian operator to showcase production-grade SIM-less 5G services. So SIM-less 5G services is important, and it talks about auto authentication, fully indigenous stack, core RAN CP design integrated by Indian vendors under Atmanirbhar Bharat program. Gigabit class speeds, it talks about 980 Mbps downlink, 140 Mbps uplink with a latency of 10 milliseconds. Rapid install, because it is important to install these devices quickly so that there is a seamless experience, customer experience. And then they lay out the roadmap, pilot expansion, roadmap after soft launch. Then this will be expanded into these cities which are right in front of your screen by September 2025. Tariff also has been revealed at the rate of 999 for 100 Mbps speed, 1499 for 300 Mbps speed. And it also talks about giving the same to enterprise customers so that they can be empowered in areas where there is no broadband connectivity, right? So if you look at SLA-based MSME, it talks about 5G SA core. So what I plan to do in this video is to dissect this announcement and to break the reality from marketing. And also I'm going to compare the competitiveness of BSNL's offering compared to Bharti Airtel and Reliance Jio. That's the whole purpose of this video, friends. So here is the slide deck which I have prepared to take you through my presentation. So the title of this slide deck is BSNL's 5G FWA launch, hype, reality and challenges, a critical look at BSNL's Hyderabad soft launch and how it compares with Jio and Bharti. Now friends, before I go into this presentation, just an announcement. Friends, someone requested me, some of my viewers requested me that while I'm doing all this YouTube, videos, I should always also post a article version in my website. Now, from now onwards, friends, I will make sure that whenever I record a video, you will always find an article version in my website. And the link will be given in the YouTube video description where you can go and read the article if you're not interested in going through this presentation, this full length video, and also you will get access to the slide deck which I use. And as I move forward in time, I will try to incorporate more features in this offering which will be given to the viewers who are interested in going to my website and accessing those the articles. So now let's look at how BSNL 5G FWA compares with Jio and Bharti from a spectrum point of view. It is important to understand that how much capacity BSNL has, because it is all about capacity at the end of the day. Because if you start to scale FWA, because of the huge amount of data consumption that FWA will ultimately entail, because on an average there is a 400 GB consumption. As the content consumption increases, it can go beyond that. So you need to have capacity. So let's look at the spectrum comparison on BSNL's FWA, means how much spectrum they really have to drive this FWA. Okay. So what I'm going to do, friends, because I always go to my website, which I have created specially for the giving a spectrum feel to my viewers. So this is the 3.5 gigahertz band. And if you see that there is a color code here. So look at this 3.5 gigahertz band. Here are the circles, here are the frequencies, right? And every operator is given a color code. For example, Jio is red, BSNL is this color, Bharti is green, Vodafone Idea is blue, and this is pink is available free. Means when the next auction happens, then this can be up for acquire, right? Now, if you look at the total amount of spectrum, you will find Bharti has got around 100 megahertz of spectrum, pan-India. You can just go and pause the video and have a look that every circle, they have got 100 megahertz of spectrum. And Reliance Jio has got 100 megahertz spectrum in these circles. And then in these circles, they have got 130 megahertz spectrum. And then these two circles, they are 100 megahertz. So they have got 4 circles here on top, 130. Then this is the 5th one, 6th one, 7th one, and the 8th one. So some of the key important circles like UP West, Rajasthan, then we have got, North is not a very important circle, MP, then Kerala, Karnataka, and then we have got, So these are the circles, they have got 130 megahertz of spectrum, and rest they have all place that they have got 100 megahertz. Now BSNL, if you look at this and go to my tooltip, you will find that this is 70 megahertz only. So BSNL has less than 30%, means Bharti has got 100 megahertz, BSNL has got 70 megahertz. And in some places, BSNL has, almost like you can say, 50% of Reliance spectrum, because Reliance has 130 megahertz, BSNL had around 70 megahertz. So BSNL, from a capacity point of view, is constrained from an FWA point of FWA. So their FWA will be constrained because this is the FWA band. If you look at all other bands, right, the BSNL cannot use FWA. Why? 700 megahertz is always is already booked for 4G. BSNL does not have any spectrum in 1800 megahertz band, because that only one circle they have got 1800, that is 10 megahertz in Delhi, which is the MTNL spectrum. That cannot be used. 900 they are using for GSM. 2100 they have already deployed 4G and they already have 3G. And then 2500 they probably will use for 4G later. And therefore this is the only spectrum band, and the 26 gigahertz spectrum band is not used because this is a hard spectrum band to use because of the reach. Reach is quite limited, and you have to put a lot of base station, which will be on pole mounted, right? Therefore, BSNL has got a capacity constraint, which is the reason, which is why BSNL may not be able to meet the other operators' capability. But there could be a silver lining for BSNL, because BSNL 5G customers may not be there in the network. So initially, their capacity or their experience of FWA will be high because other operators have a lot of mobile customers sharing the same spectrum band. So there could be a silver lining for BSNL because this spectrum is already used by other operators to service their mobile users also, and the same spectrum is used for FWA. So BSNL does not have mobile 5G subscribers, so their FWA will have initially better quality compared to the others, right? But it may not be that good because the capacity, because their spectrum quantum is limited. So this is the summary of this particular slide, and you can pause the video and have a look at it. Now, BSNL has developed ingenious 5G stack, but it is a double-edged sword. And let me tell you why it is a double-edged sword. Because it is good that you have got indigenous 5G stack. What happens is that when you have indigenous 5G stack, then you can actually have greater security control over and less reliance on foreign vendors, because foreign vendors may have some malware or something like that, which you can't tell. So here you have got greater security control. But the cons are also significant. For example, if the 5G standard keeps on evolving, new standard keep rapidly developing, the other vendors like Ericsson, Nokia, Samsung, etc., they are always up to speed because they have to cater for the globe. So all this development work, the software development cost a lot of money. So they can amortize that cost over larger volumes, which BSNL may not be able to do because their FWA offering will be limited to only India and the volumes will be small because other operators are also taking a pie of that same business, right? So global vendors can amortize cost over larger deployment. So that is the advantage as far as global vendors are concerned, and BSNL's disadvantage when they're going with indigenous software, right? Now, what is SIM-less FWA, which BSNL has been talking about in this press release? If you look at this, SIM-less architecture is what is being spoken about. Now, friends, every device, whether it is an FWA or a mobile, you always need to have a SIM, because SIM is the mechanism of doing two things. One is that it will actually enable the operator to identify the user. The identification of the user is very, very crucial because all users will keep on changing over time. So you need to identify the user, whoever is holding that device, whether it is FWA or it's a mobile, you need to identify the user. So SIM is required. So when you say SIM-less, the option could be that you don't have a physical SIM like you have in your mobile phones. You can change the SIM and put in a different device and it starts kicking into the other operator's network. Here, the SIM could be hard-coded on the firmware. One option is that. The second could be that there could be a soft SIM. Just like you have seen in iPhone, there are soft SIM which are configurable over the network by the operator. So this SIM-less architecture which BSNL is talking about most likely is a soft SIM, because hard coding the SIM into the firmware is not the right thing to do, because if the device have to be changed or altered or upgraded, then you have to go physically visit the site, or you have to do a over the air upgrade. So that over the air upgrade in the firmware is a little bit of a tough thing to do. So I think that this is a soft SIM, and the soft SIM is the similar SIM which we have in iPhone, and BSNL wants to just to make sure that BSNL don't want to spend a lot of time in network provisioning or distribution of SIM, because that's a lot of logistical issues. So BSNL has developed this capability which will enable faster provisioning, because there is no SIM logistic, and it will also enable BSNL to do lock-in, because nobody will be able to take the device and go to a different service provider and start using it, right? So there will be lock-in to the BSNL's network. So why SIM or equivalent is non-negotiable? Because you need to have a SIM. You cannot say there is no SIM, because SIM authenticates the device by using secure key. If there are no authentication, anybody can clone a device and it can create a havoc in the network, right? It ensures user identity encryption and service control. Without SIM, the device can be cloned, network will become vulnerable to misuse, and BSNL will risk revenue and legal violations, right? Now, BSNL's FWA pricing, competitive but late. But if you look at the FWA business, friends, you will find that the FWA business space is limited to roughly around maximum 80 million. Overall, I'm not talking about FWA alone. I'm talking about the whole basket of broadband, which include FTTH, which includes fixed line, optical fiber, it includes FWA and all kinds of broadband. Why it is not going to be beyond 60 to 80 million? Because you're charging, how much? You're charging rupees 999 per month and rupees 1499 per month. This is a very, very high ARPU. And if you are going to include GST also, you can imagine the amount of cost that the consumer has to bear. So this cost is too prohibitive for this whole thing to expand beyond that number, which I told you, 60 million and between 60 to 80 million, right? This is also an estimate of Airtel, right? Now, if you already know that we have broadband connectivity in our country, the overall broadband subscriber in the country to around 40 to 44 million is already there, and FWA space is expanding. So in my view, the overall market which is left out to capture for FWA could be between 20 to 30 million only, not more than that. And the mobile operators like Bharti Airtel and Jio is already ahead in this game, because they have a pan-India 5G stable network already deployed. Now, BSNL is going to start the deployment here. So by the time BSNL catches, because their offering is not very cheap, it may be a little less compared to Bharti Airtel and Vodafone, but still the pricing is pretty high. So with this pricing, I don't think BSNL will be able to capture the market. And it is going to be late in the entrance. By the time the market is also already going to be saturated and people will be locked into a particular service provider, and the FWA device, though it is now given free and it is not bundled with the with the service yet, right? Whenever you are offering a device, I think there must be some security, etc., which has to be taken into consideration, that you can't just change the service in just 1 month. Because let's say if I take an FWA connection, the device is given free to me, there must have been some, kind of security the operators must be taking, that, I don't change the service in 1 month. Otherwise, what will happen? Their whole, hardware cost is going to be become a problem. I have not taken a FWA. I don't know. Viewers might know better. So anyway, so there would be some kind of issues because of this pricing. And other issue is that the OTT and DTH, is getting bundled with this offering. Now we have to look into see that how much content BSNL is able to drive with their FWA. That is also going to become a very significant, point of sale for BSNL. And BSNL is still in pilot and lack content bundling. That could be an issue. Now, market reality shrinking opportunity window, which we already have discussed. Total broadband market is around 60 to 80 million. BSNL's revenue are declining. Now, one thing it is very interesting. In one of my video, I mentioned BSNL's broadband revenue is in declining trend. Though their FTTH revenues was rising, now has plateaued. Broadband revenues are in declining trend. And that is why and their wireline subscriber is also have declined from 30 million, which was around 5 to 6 years back, to merely 7 million. So there will be a challenge as far as that is concerned, because BSNL is late in the 5G play with less quantum of spectrum, right? So BSNL's late entry reduced market capture potential. So the conclusion is, can BSNL compete with 5G FWA? So time will tell. Indigenous tag is a milestone, but not enough. BSNL needs more spectrum, bundled content, faster rollout. Without these, BSNL will lose relevance. So thank you, friends, for following, watching till the end. And just don't forget to, go, if you are interested, go and look at the article in my website. This is my website. And if you want the copy of this slide deck, you will get attached at the end of that article, which I will post as soon as I upload this video in the YouTube channel. Thanks for listening till the end, and I'll come back with a new video on a new topic next time. Thank you very much, friends.